The sun blazed over the training grounds of Al-Nassr Football Club in Riyadh. The temperature soared past 40 degrees, but inside the state-of-the-art facility, world-class athletes pushed their bodies to the limit. Among them, the most famous of all, Cristiano Ronaldo. At 39 years old, Ronaldo still moved like a man 10 years younger. His dedication was legendary. While other players his age had retired to commentary boxes or coaching roles, he was still scoring goals, breaking records, and inspiring millions around the globe. But today, something was different. Today, Ronaldo carried a secret that would soon become the talk of the entire football world. It was a Tuesday morning, 3 hours before training. Ronaldo arrived at the facility early, as he always did. The security guard, Ahmed, greeted him with his usual warm smile and respectful nod. Ronaldo returned the gesture, his mind already focused on the day's session. He walked through the pristine corridors, his footsteps echoing against the marble floors. Everything about this place spoke of excellence, from the gleaming trophies in the display cases to the motivational quotes etched into the walls in gold lettering. As Ronaldo approached the main training area, something caught his eye near the equipment storage room. There, on the ground beside an equipment cart, lay a mobile phone. But this wasn't just any phone, it was completely shattered. The screen was a spider web of cracks, the back case split open, and the internal components partially visible. Ronaldo paused. His first instinct was to walk past it, to let the cleaning staff deal with it. But something made him stop. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was the fact that he'd lost phones before and knew how devastating it could feel. Whatever the reason, he bent down and picked it up. The device was heavy in his hand, surprisingly intact despite the damage. He turned it over, examining it closely. The brand was recognizable, a high-end model, probably expensive. Whoever owned this must be heartbroken. The investigation begins. Ronaldo tried to power on the device, but nothing happened. The battery was dead or the phone was beyond repair. He tucked it into his training bag, making a mental note to hand it to the facility manager later. Training that day was intense. The team was preparing for a crucial match against Al-Hilal, their biggest rivals. Every pass had to be perfect, every shot precise. Ronaldo, as always, led by example. He scored goal after goal in the practice drills, his competitive fire burning as bright as ever. But throughout the session, his mind kept drifting back to that broken phone. Who did it belong to? How had it ended up there? Why did he feel this strange connection to it? After training, as players filed into the locker room, Ronaldo pulled out the damaged device. Several teammates noticed. "Chris, what's that?" asked one of the midfielders, Abdul Rahman. "Found it near the storage room this morning, completely destroyed. I'm trying to figure out whose it is." The team gathered around, all offering theories. Some thought it belonged to a staff member. Others suggested it might be a fan's phone that somehow made it inside the facility. One player joked that maybe it was thrown in frustration after a bad game. But it was the team's veteran defender, Sultan, who provided the most intriguing suggestion. "You should check with security," Sultan said. "They have cameras everywhere. They'll know who was in that area." Ronaldo took Sultan's advice. After showering and changing, he made his way to the security office. Ahmed, the guard from earlier, was there, along with the head of security, a serious man named Khalid. "Khalid, I need a favor," Ronaldo said, placing the broken phone on the desk. "I found this near the storage room this morning. Can you check the cameras? I'd like to return it to whoever lost it." Khalid raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised that the legendary footballer was concerning himself with such a matter, but he nodded and turned to his computer system. "What time did you find it?" "Around 6:30 this morning." Khalid's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up footage from multiple cameras. The security office walls were lined with screens, each showing different angles of the facility. He found the right timestamp and began scanning through the footage. "There," Ronaldo pointed. On one screen, a figure appeared in the corridor at 5:47 a.m., over 40 minutes before Ronaldo had arrived. The person was young, probably in their early 20s, wearing the uniform of the facility's maintenance staff. They were pushing a cleaning cart when suddenly they reached for their pocket. The phone slipped from their grasp and hit the ground hard. Even without sound, you could see the impact was devastating. The young worker stood frozen for a moment, staring down at their shattered phone. Then, in what seemed to be a moment of despair, they simply left it there and continued down the corridor with their cart. "That's Youssef," Ahmed said, recognizing the worker. "He's new, started just 2 months ago. Good kid, very hardworking, comes from a small village outside the city." Ronaldo watched the footage again, studying the young man's body language, the slumped shoulders, the defeated walk. This wasn't just about a broken phone. There was a deeper story here. "I need to talk to him," Ronaldo said. "Is he working today?" Khalid checked the schedule. "He's on the evening shift. He'll be here in about 3 hours. Those 3 hours felt longer than any football match Ronaldo had ever played. He went home to his family, spent time with his children, had lunch, but his mind kept returning to Youssef and that broken phone. There was something about the situation that resonated with Ronaldo deeply. He thought back to his own childhood in Madeira, Portugal. He remembered being poor, wearing worn-out shoes, sharing clothes with his siblings. He remembered his mother working multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. He remembered his own phone, his first mobile phone, bought with money he'd saved from his early professional contracts. It wasn't fancy, but it was his, and when it broke, he couldn't afford to replace it immediately. That feeling of loss, of disconnection from the world, was something he'd never forgotten. As evening approached, Ronaldo returned to the facility. He had the broken phone in his pocket, along with something else, a plan that had formed during those 3 hours of reflection. The confrontation. Khalid called Youssef to the security office. The young man arrived looking nervous, clearly worried that he was in trouble. His eyes widened when he saw Ronaldo sitting there. "Mr. Youssef," Khalid began formally, "we need to ask you about something." Ronaldo raised a hand, gesturing for Khalid to let him handle it. He pulled out the broken phone and placed it on the desk. "Is this yours?" Ronaldo asked gently in Arabic. He'd learned the language since moving to Saudi Arabia, understanding how important it was to communicate with the people around him. Youssef's face went pale. He stared at the shattered device, then at Ronaldo, then back at the phone. For a long moment, he said nothing. Yes, he finally whispered. "I'm so sorry. I was going to come back for it, but I was afraid I'd be in trouble for having my phone during work hours. I know it's against the rules." "Tell me what happened," Ronaldo said, his voice calm and encouraging. Youssef took a deep breath. The story that came out was more complicated than anyone had expected. "That phone, it was everything to me," Youssef began, his voice shaking slightly. "Not because it was expensive. I saved for 8 months to buy it, but because of what it represented. I come from a small village 5 hours from Riyadh. My family are farmers. We have a small piece of land where we grow dates and vegetables. Life is hard there, but it's honest work. I'm the oldest of 6 children. My father got sick 2 years ago, his heart. He can't work the farm anymore, so I came to the city to find work. Every rial I earn, I send most of it home to help my family. That phone, it was how I stayed connected to them. Every night I video call my mother and father. I help my younger siblings with their homework through the screen. My youngest brother, he's only 7. He looks forward to our calls every day. He shows me his drawings, tells me about school. Without that phone, I feel lost, cut off. My family doesn't understand why I haven't called in 2 days. They must be so worried." Youssef's eyes were wet now, though he tried to hold back tears. "When it fell that morning, I felt like my heart broke with it. I knew I couldn't afford another one. It would take me another 8 months of saving, and my family needs that money more than I need a phone. So I left it there. I couldn't even bear to look at it." The room was silent. Even Khalid, who usually maintained a professional distance, seemed moved by the story.
Ronaldo stood up. He pulled out his own phone, the latest model, pristine and perfect. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the room. "Youssef," Ronaldo said, "when I was asked why I picked up your broken phone, why I spent time tracking down its owner, why I cared about something so small when I have so much, this is my answer." He placed his hand on Youssef's shoulder. "I picked it up because I remember what it feels like to have so little that every possession matters. I tracked you down because I know what it means to be far from family, to miss them every day. I cared because I was once exactly where you are now." Ronaldo reached into his bag and pulled out a brand new phone, still in the box. It was the latest model, the same as his own. "This is for you," Ronaldo said.
When people ask me why I picked up that broken phone, why I cared, my answer is simple: because I could, because I was in a position to help. Because ignoring someone's pain when you have the power to ease it, that's not the person I want to be. But there's a deeper reason, too. That broken phone represented something important. It represented connection, family, love, the things that really matter in life. I have 5 Ballon d'Or trophies. I've scored over 800 goals. I've won championships in every country I've played. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. But none of that matters as much as being able to talk to my children every day. None of it means anything if I forget where I came from, if I become the kind of person who walks past a broken phone without a second thought. That phone was broken, but it could be replaced. What couldn't be replaced was Youssef's connection to his family, his hope, his dignity. Those things are priceless. So when people ask me why I picked it up, why I cared, I tell them because every one of us is just one bad day away from being in Youssef's position. Because kindness costs nothing but means everything. Because I want my children to see that their father is more than just goals and trophies. He's a man who stops to help. News of what happened spread quickly through the facility. At first, Ronaldo had asked everyone to keep it quiet. He didn't do it for publicity, and he didn't want Youssef to feel embarrassed or singled out. But Youssef himself wanted people to know, not to boast, but because he believed others should hear about the kindness he'd received. He wanted to inspire others to help when they could, to pay forward the generosity shown to him. Within days, other players at Al-Nassr started their own initiatives. One midfielder set up a fund to help maintenance workers with emergency expenses. A defender organized Arabic language classes for foreign staff who wanted to learn. The team captain started a mentorship program pairing players with young facility workers who dreamed of better opportunities. The club's owners were so moved by the story that they implemented a new policy. Any staff member facing financial hardship could apply for interest-free loans or grants from a special fund. They named it the Broken Phone Fund in honor of where it all started. Youssef's transformation. 3 months later, Youssef was thriving in his new position. With better pay and hours, he was able to bring his family to visit Riyadh. Ronaldo arranged for them to watch a match from the VIP section. When Youssef's 7-year-old brother met Ronaldo, he handed the superstar a drawing he'd made. It showed Ronaldo holding a broken phone with a heart drawn around it. "You're a hero," the little boy said solemnly. "Not because you score goals, because you helped my brother." That drawing went up in Ronaldo's home office, placed among photos of his greatest sporting achievements. He would later say it was one of his most treasured possessions. The broader message. Months turned into a year. Youssef saved enough money to help his family buy better equipment for their farm. His father's health improved with better medical care. His siblings excelled in school with the scholarship support. But more importantly, Youssef started his own small fund to help others from his village who came to the city looking for work. He would meet them at the bus station, help them find honest employment, give them a cheap phone if they needed one. Ronaldo taught me that success isn't just about climbing up, it's about reaching down to help others climb too. When reporters eventually heard the story and wanted to interview Ronaldo about it, he was reluctant. He'd done hundreds of interviews about his goals, his training regimen, his diet, his ambitions, but talking about acts of kindness felt different, more personal, more vulnerable. Finally, he agreed to one interview on the condition that Youssef be interviewed alongside him. "Mr. Ronaldo," the reporter began, "everyone knows you as one of the greatest footballers of all time, but this story shows a different side. When you picked up that broken phone, what went through your mind?" Ronaldo thought carefully before answering. "I thought about my mother," he said quietly. "I thought about the times she had to choose between feeding her children and buying herself a new pair of shoes. I thought about the sacrifices people made for me when I was young and had nothing. That broken phone was just an object, but what it represented, connection, family, hope, those things are universal. Everyone understands what it feels like to lose something important. Everyone knows what it's like to struggle. I picked it up because I saw myself in that phone. I saw the young boy from Madeira who had so little but dreamed so big. And I thought, if I can help restore that hope for someone else, why wouldn't I?" The reporter turned to Youssef. "And you? How has this experience changed you?" Youssef smiled. "It taught me that greatness isn't about what you achieve for yourself, it's about what you do for others." Ronaldo could have ignored that phone. He could have been too busy, too important, but he chose to care. He chose to help. Now, every day, I try to be that person for someone else. When I see someone struggling, I don't walk past. I stop. I help, because that's what he taught me. The legacy. Years would pass. Ronaldo would eventually retire from professional football, having cemented his status as one of the greatest ever. He would move on to new ventures, new challenges, new goals. But the story of the broken phone would endure. It became a lesson taught in schools across Saudi Arabia. It inspired countless acts of kindness, large and small. It reminded people that true greatness is not measured by trophies or wealth, but by character and compassion. Youssef would go on to manage multiple facilities, eventually becoming one of the most respected figures in Saudi sports facility management. He never forgot his roots. Every employee who worked under him knew they could come to him with problems, knowing they'd be met with understanding and help. The broken phone itself impossibly was repaired by a specialist and placed in a small display case in Al-Nassr's trophy room. Beside it, a plaque read, "This broken phone reminds us that what matters most in life cannot be measured in goals scored or matches won. It reminds us that kindness, compassion, and human connection are the true measures of success." Found by Cristiano Ronaldo, returned to Youssef Al-Harthi, it represents the best of what we can be when we choose to help others. So when people asked Ronaldo about that day, when they wanted to know why he picked up that broken phone, why he cared, what made him go to such lengths for a stranger, his answer was always the same and always true. "I picked it up because I saw pain and I could help ease it. I cared because someone once cared for me when I had nothing. I went to those lengths because that's what humans should do for each other." We're all connected, like phones to a network. When one person's connection is broken, we all feel it, even if we don't realize it. Fixing that break, restoring that connection, that's not charity, that's humanity. And if you're ever in a position to help someone, to restore their hope and possibility, and you choose not to, then what's the point of all your success? What good is scoring 1,000 goals if you can't stop to help one person? That broken phone taught me that lesson all over again. It reminded me who I am, where I came from, and who I want to be. And for that, I'll always be grateful I picked it up that morning. The sun sets over Riyadh, casting long shadows across the training grounds. Tomorrow, new players will arrive, new goals will be scored, new records will be chased. The endless cycle of sport continues. But in a small village 5 hours away, a family gathers for dinner. They bow their heads in thanks for the food on their table, for their father's improving health, for their education, for the opportunities ahead. And they give special thanks for a broken phone that became a bridge between their struggle and their hope, for a superstar who remembered what it meant to have nothing, for a simple act of kindness that changed everything. Because in the end, that's the real story, that's the real answer, and that's why it matters.